Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Rich Girls Online podcast.
If I was a rich girl, na 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 na. See, I'd have all the money in the world if I was a wealthy girl.
So today I wanted to talk about renting and living at home in your 20s, okay? Because this is something that this is the crossroads that many of us as adults come to after we finished with college or university, or once we turn 18. You know, we're so excited to gain our independence, but along with our independence comes responsibilities, real financial responsibilities. And whether or not we're willing and or ready to take on those financial responsibilities once we come of age, okay? Something I recently heard someone say is that renting is a scam. And I kind of get that, right? You're paying a landlord and you're paying someone else, paying towards their own mortgage, right? And when you think about it, okay, if you get a bedroom, if you're renting an apartment, right, and you're renting it at a rate of $1,500, $1,500 a month, if you calculate that up, that comes out to $17,000 a year. And that's not even paying that much in rent. Like, that's probably like a median rent price for maybe a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment, depending on what city you're in. It can really vary. But a mere $1,500 is coming out to $17,000 a year, okay? Now, $17,000, right? Now, let's say you're renting that place for 5 years. Let me actually just do the calculations. 1 second, let me pull up my calculator. $17,000 times 5 years equals $85,000, okay? So let's say you move out at 18, and by age 23, you have paid $85,000, paying $1,500 a month for rent each month for 5 years, okay? You've paid nearly $100,000 to live somewhere that you still do not own, and you're still going to have to cough up that same $1,500 every single month if you want to continue to have a home over your head, right? And so I understand that sometimes due to, maybe toxic family issues, or, maybe we don't even have a family or support, we have to move out at age 18 or age 21, maybe our families are not willing to support us any further, or maybe we just don't have that big of a family home where we can really actually have a place and space to ourselves for it to make sense to continue living at home. I understand that. And in those situations, you really kind of have no choice to move out on your own. But if you do have the luxury of having a family home and a family that is willing to house and support you and is not charging you rent, the main point of this video is just to say, don't take that for granted and really utilize that opportunity, right? While independence and having that full independence, and after tasting that independence while you moved away from college, and now it's like, okay, should I move back home? Or should I go out and rent my own place and have my independence and be able to party and, do whatever I want in my own place? I mean, it's so nice having your own space. I'm not going to lie. I would much rather have my own space, have my own apartment. Like, who doesn't love having that full control and freedom? I prefer it as well, right? But when you realize and really weigh out the costs and the benefits, I think it's really actually worth it to live at home for a few years after college or after turning 18, and even up to 30, and even into your early 30s. Who am I to judge or say that say when is the right time to move out of your home. I honestly say live at home as long as you can until you can afford to buy your own home. Because once you've bought that roof over your head, nobody can take it away. You have a certain level of security in knowing that, okay, if I'm ever out of a job, but at least I own my home, I'll be okay for at least a few months, honestly. Right? With a little bit saved in the bank, if something happened where I lost my job, I would be okay for a few months and even a year. I really just need to pay for transportation and groceries at that point, and maybe utilities, right? But at the end of the day, if I own my house that I'm living in, there's a certain level of security and peace of mind that I now have. I feel like when once I graduated from college, I almost felt like there was this rhetoric of oh my gosh, you're moving back home, you're moving back in with your parents. It was almost like a shameful thing to do. Oh, you're not gonna go off and, live with a friend in the city, or you're not gonna be a grown woman. It almost feels like you're being thrusted against your will back into childhood, but that's really not the case. I mean, you can still be a full-grown adult living in your childhood home. You don't need to live on your own as an adult in an apartment. You don't need to rent in order to prove that you're an adult and you're doing adult things and that you have an adult job. And I feel like it's almost like a Western mindset and a way of doing things. I feel like a lot of my American friends and more of my American counterparts are the ones who kind of routinely move out after college, or, once turning 21 or a certain age like that, versus the Nigerian part of me, that Eastern part of me. It's very normal to live in your family home until you buy your own home, or even until you get married. It's very normal to see multi-generational family homes, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not an adult or you haven't, gone through that coming of age process. It's just normal for families of multiple generations to live together and to live in one big family home or compound. It's a normal thing in Nigeria. For children to live with their parents and their grandparents and to take care of them, and just for the whole family to be interacting. The whole thing of we only come home during Christmas, or we only get together during Sundays. That's more of a Western thing. I feel like seeing your family a lot, and even all the time throughout the week, the family, grandparents raising your children is very common in Nigeria. And so it's interesting to see how these two cultures and these two parts of the world, I guess, compare when it comes to coming of age and what that means in the West versus what that means in the East. But yeah, now getting back to the topic of renting and home ownership, it's just really important to think about these things and to try and have some sort of foresight, or as much as possible, in your late teens and early 20s, because I think we don't really think about buying a house maybe when you're 21 or when you're 18, because you're thinking about what's right ahead of you, right? Which is either going to college or getting your first job or figuring out what you want to do for a living. You're not really thinking of buying a house or, paying off a mortgage or getting married. That stuff is a bit ahead of the way, and there's so much in between that we're making all these financial decisions. Now we're spending all this money, earning our first paychecks, and we're not really saving anything, and we're just paying rent, and we're buying this and we're buying that, and we're not thinking that, okay, 2 to 4 to 5 to 10 years down the line, we're gonna want to buy a house. And buying a house is not something that you necessarily always do overnight. This can involve months and even years, and even, might I say, a decade of saving and making the proper investments. And so it's really important that if we see ourselves wanting to be in a position to buy a house 5 or 10 years down the line, we need to start saving and putting away for that today. We need to start investing and managing our finances to say, okay, if I make this much an hour and I make this much a month and I save this much a year, okay, how many thousand can I put towards the down payment of my house? How much money can I put away so that later on I can either pay off my house or be able to pay my mortgage in the future? And these are decisions, small decisions and small actions that we're taking today that are really going to be omnipresent and make that difference 10 years, 20 years down the line. If you look at the current housing crisis that we're in today, where more and more people need homes and the cost of living and the cost of buying a house is only increasing exponentially as the amount of space decreases, that's not really going to improve in the coming years. It's only going to continue to get worse. I mean, if you look at it, a chart beginning from like the 1970s to now, the trend has increased, and the chart is looking quite logarithmic, as the cost of housing is only going up and up and up and up and up and up and up. And so I think that even more important today than it was 50 years ago, in the day of our grandparents and our great-grandparents, it's even more important today to be financially aware and to start planning financially for your life in the long run, more in advance, earlier, at a younger age. It's more important for us, people in our teens, 20s, and 30s, to start taking financial planning and financial investing seriously at a younger age, and really actively, seriously planning for our future in a large scope ahead of time, more than it ever was. I don't think that financial education should be an optional thing anymore. And even if you don't want to be wealthy, even if you don't have hopes or dreams of being a multimillionaire, billionaire, even if you just want to live an average, comfortable, cozy, blessed lifestyle, you still need, financial knowledge. You still need that proper financial planning and breaking that down to every day, every week, an every week basis. How much am I saving every week? How much am I investing every week? Even if you don't make $100K a year, you still need to be investing in your future financially. Because even if you want to have that comfortable middle-class lifestyle, that involves having a roof over your head. And in order to have a roof over your head, like I said before, that cost is only increasing ever so much. And so this conversation today isn't just for the rich girlies or the girlies who want to be wealthy and experience luxury and the finer things in life. No, this is even just for the people who want to be okay and do not want to be overly stressed out or traumatized in life in the future, or face housing insecurity. I mean, this conversation is for everybody. If you're in your early 20s, if you're even in your early 30s, if you're in your teens, I know you want to get that apartment. I know you want to decorate it and design it all by yourself. I know you want to live with your friends. I know you want to have that independence where you can just bring anyone over at any time and you don't have to ask your parents. And I know that you would, just want to be independent. I know you want to live your Sex and the City dreams, your Carrie Bradshaw dreams that you've been seeing on TV. Get your own place, just curate your own vibe. I get that. I get how fun and how aesthetic that is. But you in 10 years is going to want a house more. You in 10 years is going to want to be financially stable and secure more. That freedom that you're getting, that little extra freedom and extra possibility that you're getting in renting now, is it really worth, facing that, having to pay rent every single month for the next 20 to 30 years? Is it really worth not being a homeowner in the next few years? Is it really worth it? Because in the short term, yes, you do get some pretty good privileges, you do get some pretty good output, but in the long term, I think that it's not going to be worth all that you're going to pay, right? The hundreds of thousands that you're going to be paying a landlord in rent. So if you do get along with your parents and your family, and your home life and your home environment isn't toxic, if it is a peaceful place, if you can manage to stay home as long as you can, save your money, invest your money, you're really going to set yourself up really well in the next 5 to 10 years, and you're going to really thank yourself for that, okay? Because in the next 5 or 10 years, when everybody else is thinking, oh wow, we want to buy a house now, but oh my gosh, we haven't been saving enough of what it's going to cost to put the down payment on a house, or we've been throwing so much money away the last 10 years just renting, you're going to be in a position where you're like, yep, I just made the down payment on my first dream home. Yep, I just bought my first investment property. You're going to thank yourself in 5 to 10 years. And so this is an extremely delayed gratification journey that we're on here. I mean, when we're talking about building financial wealth, and obtaining financial freedom, and even just having a certain level of financial security, it's long term that we're talking, right? I'm not talking about win the lottery the next day. I'm not talking about if something just blew up the next day. I'm talking about having a conversation on the little things that we can do day to day, week to week, month to month, that over the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years is going to set us up in a position to where we can still be living our wealthiest, most fulfilled, and most free lives. It's really the small building blocks, it's right now. It's what we're doing today. And so, yeah, guys, if you guys learn anything in this podcast, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. If you guys are enjoying these podcasts, they're just something I'm kind of trying out because I get a lot of questions on my blog page, but I can't make a video for every single question. But these podcasts, I can kind of just talk to you guys, get them out quick, and answer questions, and just kind of give you guys my shower thoughts and like the little tips and tricks and things that I've learned over the last 2 to 5 years that I feel have really changed my own life. Let me know down in the comments and I'll keep doing these. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to the Rich Girls Online podcast, and I'll see you guys next time.